Afternoon, or what's going? Good afternoon. Actually, I was going a bit good morning Vietnam there, wasn't I? Good morning to another Kerfuffle showcase. Delighted to have the Tango Pig himself on today, Mr. Pigott. Hello, how are you? Adam Pigott, OpenBrix. Are you well?
I'm very well, thank you.
We're just tasty like me. You've got that vitamin D going on with you.
It's been a nice summer. We can't complain. But yeah, no, it's I had my first trip into London yesterday from since lockdown, and that was an experience.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it?
I was marshalled every 20-30 meters over London Bridge concourse, size of two rugby pitches.
Yep.
Maybe 2 people on it, but probably 50 marshals telling me where to go and where I couldn't go.
They always tell me where to go. They're normally quite good at getting me out of the city rather than getting me in. The days of old, they always used to chase the Northerners out of London, didn't they? Good stuff. Well, look, obviously you're an old hand at this because you've obviously already kerfuffled it up on our Challenger portal one where you were magnificent, even if I say so myself. We were obviously really, really keen to hear about you, and obviously you tempted me, you teased me with obviously all the blockchain stuff, which you know I'm a sucker for anyway. And I was hoping over the course of the next few minutes talking to yourself, we can elaborate on some of that to really get to the bottom of what OpenBrix is about. I think the first thing to talk about, though, isn't it, Adam, is that actually you've got a new bit of functionality, a fairly major bit going live in terms of the MLS style. For those people, just bearing in mind, not everyone will straight away know what that is. Could you just give a bit of context and then talk about what you're doing?
Okay, sure. Perhaps if I'm only going to mention it once because I get bored of it. But the reason why the MLS why I believe it's going to work is it's been designed by some UK agents headed up by David Thomas at Liberty Gate. He's been very helpful. But we've also been in consultation with agents in Europe and in America and Canada. So we've seen what won't work, and the UK agents we perform our estate agency in a very different way. And their model of an MLS or another country's model of an MLS just simply would not work. And it has been tried and failed fantastically. We believe that this will work because of, I'm going to say it just the once, because of the blockchain. So if I can sort of say, I mean, what effectively OpenBrix is, we're not just a portal. A portal is just one aspect of currently 4 products that we have. It's a multi-featured, democratized and decentralized, that's a key word. It's a decentralized platform that allows people within the industry to connect securely and transact transparently together. It's like a giant WhatsApp group. So that is the power of the blockchain. And that's really where it starts and stops. With the blockchain comes in when we refer to the IDs that everyone have, whether it be the property, the agent branch, the individual hub seller, the end consumer, whether it be a tenant or a buyer, and of course our partners. All of them have unique IDs.
Yeah.
And it's the platform that allows us to connect those people. So the MLS came about, and the MLS, it stands for multi-listing service. And effectively it's allowing agents to work together, because there's one fairly shocking statistic out there, which actually I only came across about 5 weeks ago when we were in development of the MLS. And that is that only 40% of properties are sold by the initial agent.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it?
60% going on to the next appointed agent, often because there's been a price reduction. We all compete with each other. Agents compete with each other to get the highest, to quote an honest figure, but the high as you can get it.
Yep.
And often it takes that price reduction and a fresh marketing approach to then sell the property. So what we're able to do is allow agents to perhaps get an instruction, quote in the living room that this product is worth more than multi-agency is, certainly. So I'm hoping agents don't go and put their 1% or 1.25% or small fixed price commissions onto the MLS. I'm really hoping agents see this as an opportunity to go to their vendors and say, look, thank you for getting me over. I've sold you my wares, and what we do is what my agency does. But you've got a choice. You can either give it to me on my own, and I believe I'm the agent to do it. However, we have another product called the MLS, which means that I can potentially market your property to every agent in the UK who's on the MLS. Every agent.
How receptive do you think the British public are going to be to this? Have you been able to test the water? Famously, there have been groups like Team on the South Coast, largely, haven't they, for years, which kind of doing that. Lonres obviously has a kind of half commission basis in central London there. Is it just that actually people don't know that this is going on to a large degree, or are there different facets of those different systems that meant it hasn't taken off en masse?
I think it's a mixture of all of those, actually. I mean, first of all, the public aren't aware about it. We, in this country, we're of the opinion, if you have a property you want to buy or property you want to sell, you go to an estate agent. Yeah. Where you see it, of course, whether you see it on which portal is another topic. But effectively, I think when a buyer realizes that they can go into an agency who's on the MLS, and if that agent only has a dozen instructions or however many instructions, doesn't have the property that person, that buyer wants, then why let them go? If they're potentially the good buyers, get them to sit down, give them a cup of coffee, and then say, let me check on the MLS. And you go and see the properties that some of your competitors may have, and you might be on a network with some, because every agent can select their own network, whether it be the agent next door, eight agents in the high street, or all of the Isle of Wight, or an agency with 30 or 40 branches can literally link up together for a much slicker approach. But you can start actively now, for the first time in the UK, work for a buyer for the better good, for the end consumer benefit. So I believe words needs to get out. We clearly need the support of the agents, because if we don't get the stock on there, it's going to go absolutely nowhere. But we're focusing on some key areas. We don't want to try and spread a piece of toast with a tiny thin bit of butter. We've got to do bits and manage this carefully, which is part of our plan. But it's interesting, because we've also had because we've been discussing this with agents overseas, a lot of them are saying, wow, that means can we go on it and we can start sending buyers to the UK to see properties we've shown them, properties they've claimed, and we say yes. So what's different about the way we're doing it, the UK MLS, is that the agent has the primary agent has full control and can choose, if you like, from three options, which we call the whole MLS, which is basically a blanket bomb. You're losing an instruction in a week's time. You're waving the white flag. You don't want to lose it, and you stick it on to basically any agent in the UK. It's a bit of a blanket bomb approach, but may work for some properties or some agents in some circumstances. But the other one, which we like, is the network MLS, which when an agent goes in and sets up their MLS page, they get to choose which agents, and they can do it over a period of time, but they can choose their own network. And those networks can overlap from agent to agent. But ultimately, if you only want to do business with certain agents, you can choose them. You can declare what commission, what percentage of the sale price that each individual agent can have, or you can set up, I'll give you 30% of whatever I've got, or I'm going to give you 0.75% of the sale value to the whole of the MLS. But you can also do it individually. So if you've got a group of 6 agents and you particularly like one of them is your brother, you might, I'll do you 50%, but the others are on 35%. So it's basically, and the same with the marketing rights. It's all done at a granular level, really simple. And when an agent claims the property, he accepts the terms, and a smart contract is effectively and legally created.
That's really interesting, that element, because one of the issues and limitations I've known in the past of some of those other half commission MLS style arrangements has been that actually you haven't been able to pick those agents, and there was a lot of resentment from some of the agents that there was the perception of what's called bottom feeders, who would literally just never ever list any properties. They would just jump on top of everyone else, and there was no way to actually try and sort of manage that or limit it. So I think that's a really key point there, is you can build up those, if you are, if you're, let's say you're in a close network of RAN agents or guild agents, people that are best in class, professing to have, to want to do best practice, team up with agents of a similar mindset, and you're going to be then bigger than the sum of the parts, aren't you?
It's interesting. You got entities like I'm a big fan of the Federation of Independent Agents. Graham,
yeah, very good,
good guy, and this is ideal for for feeder agents. If they want to react and interact, what better place than to set up their own network? Graham could do that, and then every agent on it can interact and share together. What we don't do, like there's hundreds of MLSs out there in the world. Some of them take a portion of the commission. Some of them charge very high fees. Because we're controlled by that B word thing, that means every agent on OpenBrix forms the community. So if we were to turn around and say, we're really onto something now, let's put the prices up, well, we can't. So we've decided, rather than taking a share of commission, we're just going to charge a monthly subscription of £55. That's an upgrade from the joining fee of £75.
Yep.
They can use it, not use it, come off, join it, whatever. But I believe, I was an agent for 28 years, as you know, and I've based everything we've done on OpenBrix. I've really based it of what would I need, and our partnership programs, for example, should easily replace the tenant fee ban, because that hurt agents. That would have absolutely nobbled my business in a big way.
Well, it famously stopped a huge amount of the mergers and acquisitions activity that was going on, didn't it? Dead overnight, really.
Yeah, it did. It really did. So everything we do, we based on the agents, and that's why we give them the control. So it'll be all the partnerships. It's all based on the agent's choice of which partners they want to have. So they'll go on when they set up their page. This is all part of the initial subscription, by the way, the £75. They get access to these extra revenue streams, and they can choose, like from an app store, which products they want. If they want to go into one tenant entity that's doing, I don't know, utility switchings, but there's one that gives a slightly better commission service, a better payment, and perhaps a better option from another brand, they can put both on their dashboard, but they can choose to activate which products at a granular level. So the end consumer that they eventually pair to that property will only see what that agent has chosen as the products they want to sell.
I understand. Okay, that's interesting.
We don't take a cut of that commission, I should add.
Yeah. And let's talk through the B word, the blockchain element. I haven't. It was interesting. You mentioned it again earlier. And looking at your website, you do make that analogy with see it as a big WhatsApp group, which I really like. I really get that concept. Do you want to just talk us through that element of it, just in terms of how what that means to you?
Sure. Well, it means that let's do it at a micro level. So an OpenBrix agent on the community decides to pair an end consumer, let's take a tenant, with that property. That tenant is a prospective tenant is paired to the property and the agent and those partners. Yeah. So in other words, the way it works through the APIs and the integration is there's a counter on the agent's dashboard where they can just see, hopefully, money ticking up and going up and up and up as when each end user buys the product. So because I refer to it as a WhatsApp group, if there were 5 of us on a WhatsApp group, and I said, look, I'm having a drink at the pub at 6 o'clock tonight, guys, you want to come round? I couldn't not let you know about it unless you came off that WhatsApp group. But because I'm the administrator, I get to choose that. So being the agent, so it's that
transparency element there again, isn't it? Really, and I haven't seen an example of this yet where transparency doesn't help a marketplace.
Yeah, it really does. And that's why we've decided to be very upfront and open about our fees. You know, at the moment, and hopefully for a good period of time, our portal will be free to list. And what I want to really eventually do is replace our £75 a month subscription, which gives you access to put all of your end consumers, your current tenancy portfolio, all your managed properties. You can put them all on there. All you then do is let your partner self do. You don't have to do anything. You don't need their marketing material. You don't need their training, because they will do it for you, and you get the full commission. But what we've tried to do with the whole transparency thing is I want to replace that £75 a month with just £1 per upload of an available property that an agent decides to put on. And I think that's a really fair model. We can't do that straight away because we're a business. We need that. We need to get the traction. But as soon as we start getting the numbers, we're going to start reducing that, and then bringing in slowly, when the time is right, we'll bring in the £1 per upload. Yeah,
it strikes me as really equitable. You know, it's based on transactions, isn't it? Based on the most common currency we've got, which is ultimately the listings, isn't it? So, that's interesting. And talk us through again that element there. I mean, blockchain it gives you the ability to enable it, but you don't have to put it into practice in the way that you have to allow your members control over that pricing information. You've made that decision, haven't you, that ultimately you are owned by your members. So just talk us through that. That's a really important, it seems to be, talking to you as we have a few times now, seeing the website and everything in there, that you really, and I hate the phrase because it's overused, but democratization of a platform is absolutely installed at your heart of your company.
Well, it's not a question of, we will do this, we promise to do this. I can't take the platform down now. It's not mine. We've got enough agents on there now. Remember, our second agent joined because we have a vote. OpenBrix has one vote, but so does every other brand. We cannot collapse it. If I were to turn around and say, guys, I'd like to put my prices up because of A, B, and C, I've got to have a pretty good reason to do it. And if the agents actively, if 51% say no, the platform goes down. They take it down. So in a really humble way, and I like this, the OpenBrix works for the agent. We're the maintenance guys for the agent's portal. We don't dictate. We cannot dictate. And actually, technically, we could be fired. If you guys wanted to get rid of us and say, right, 51%, you're no good anymore, we want someone else, we'd have to go.
I love the idea that you build a business plan where from day 2 you can get yourself sacked. I wouldn't have lasted more than a week in any business.
Well, what that does for us, it really does keep us focused and honest.
I can imagine. Yeah, it's great. But it's wonderful as well just to actually, lots of companies talk the talk, but just have no intention of delivering anything else. That it's absolutely hard coded into your business root and branch, isn't it? To make sure that's the case.
It is for technology, and you use the B word more than I have today, Simon. I'm trying.
I always use it without actually knowing what it means, but that's neither here nor there.
But it's that B word that's actually, you don't have to take my word for it. It's a fact. So yeah, I'm really pleased with it. I mean, I've been involved now for 2 years with it. It's been 2 years hard work, and we've got a good team. We've got a good board. We've got.
It's a very. I mean, there's a lot of startups, and some of those, start off at a different scale. But you've got a really heavyweight board, haven't you? Looking at
very sensible people, and as I say, I'm always happy to say I'm definitely the stupid person on the board meeting. I'm the thickest guy there. There's some very, very bright people in there, and it's great for men. It was a badly kept secret until we announced it anyway. But we were absolutely thrilled to get John Harves on because he's probably one of the most respected people in the property industry, and I listen to him. I speak to him most days, and we talk through a lot of things. And he again, it's good to have someone with that much experience.
So for people that don't know Adam, though, so John was National Lettings Director at Countrywide for a number of years, wasn't he? So
yeah, and he's a very, very bright man. And I brought in Andrew Taylor, who worked for me in one of my branches. He was a manager of my flagship office in Surbiton when I had my agency, and he worked for me for 11 or 12 years. even got a higher percentage conversion rate on valuations than I did, which was slightly embarrassing. He's a good guy.
Change it in the CRM software. Don't worry about that.
And yeah, we've got a great marketing guy. James runs our marketing, hugely experienced. And everyone's got their sort of their staff beneath them, so we've got good structure. And of course, the brains behind all of this is Shahad Chowdhury, who was he was advisor to the government and the Treasury and Cabinet on blockchain and AI. He was involved in the Galileo space project. He's a hugely intelligent young man. I say young because he's younger than me, but than most people are. But he's incredibly bright. And it was my meeting with him just over 2.5 years ago. A guy on the board used to be the ex-CCO of Arsenal Football Club, a guy called Tom Fox. Yeah. And he and I went to school together when I was about 8 years old, 8 to 11, I think we overlapped. And he got back in contact with me and said, Pig, because that's the nickname, Pig, could you go and have a meet with this guy? I'm interested in this company. I might want to get involved in it. And I kicked the can down the road for about 3 months, thinking every excuse I could possibly make to not waste my time. And I went with a pretty poor attitude, actually. And I came away from a good 2-hour chat with this young man. And I came away thinking, oh my goodness, this is really special. Yeah. And so on from there. And I then brought the property guys in. And, and it's not all about us. We really have been listening to agents. We weren't going to be doing any of these products 18 months ago. It's the agents who are telling us what they want. So the partnership program, that's agent requests. The MLS is all down to agents. I was thinking of doing community pages because I had a group of agents telling me they wanted that. And then we were working on that. And we started developing. And then when we started to veer off towards the MLS, I had a light bulb moment after we agreed to do it. Well, setting up a community, this is what the MLS does. So we can now bring in local pages, local maps, local restaurants, bars, shops will be able to come into the MLS. That's version 2 of it. But we've got so many things we can do because everyone gets their own ID and it's unique.
How do you retain focus when you've got so many things going on there and the capabilities of the platform? How do you literally just stay on the right road?
I guess that's been my job. I ensure that we don't get sidetracked. And when you talk to any devs, if you allow devs to talk together, then they come up with these weird ideas and they want to go and do it. Often good ideas. So, I've been able to say, guys, let's just do A, B, C, and D. That is what we're focusing on, and we've got deadlines for all of them. All of them will be met. We're beta testing the MLS at the end of this week. We're starting. Partnerships is under beta already. The actual product, the portal has been under beta since May, and that's stable. We've got a number of agents using it. Yep. But ultimately, and we're taking registrations now for the MLS, pre-registration. So all that means is that we will, rather than bombarding social media and everybody and the internet with all of our messages, we can literally write and email those people specifically with what we're doing and give them a lot more detail of how it works and when it works. We can send them demos of how to set it up. It's actually very simple.
Right. Okay. And you've spoken a little bit there in terms of the agents do have the ability potentially to monetize elements as well. Could you just elaborate in terms of how they can do that on your platform?
Sure. So as I said, the agent chooses from the open marketplace within the dashboard that they have on OpenBrix. They will be able to choose which products, which whether it be Sky TV, there's one I haven't got an NDA on at the moment, so they can. That's an obvious one. But you've got utility changing packages, financial service products, legal platforms, all sorts of things coming in, and they can choose what products the end consumer and their current managed stock see. That's all they do. That's all the agent has to do is pair them with the property. That's it. Then the partner will get the notification. Will deal directly with the end consumer, all on the platform, and the agent just sees their sort of currency figure just going up.
That point you were talking about before, the currency just ticks over and over.
They can click on that and see what agents bought which end users, what product for which property, and how much commission they're getting. And as I say again, we've done this. We've been very transparent with our fees. We're not taking cuts of kickbacks or anything. We give 100% of the commissions. So therefore, these products are out there, and a lot of agents have an access to these products already. Are they getting the full amount? That's the first question. But even if they are, they're having to do the upselling. They're having to do it. Why not let the actual end? Why not get the partners to do it? It's their business. They're going to do it better than the agent one, and they can do it slickly. But also, once a tenant, say, has moved into a property, who thinks to go back and sell them products? No one does, or very few. I don't know of any agents who do. Well, this will be able to happen. So the end user will get notifications saying, look, there's a new Sky Q box out, or we've got a new package, new channel coming up, or we've got a new form of utility switching brand. Do you want to be notified? And every time an end user takes a product, the agent just gets the commission.
So there's been a number of, obviously, certainly in the CRM space, for a number of years, they had the ability to almost have their own, sort of client portals. So you might have a vendor portal, an applicant portal, landlord portal, tenant portal there. Things like the tenant portal and the landlord portal were more popular, more successful, because obviously there's an ongoing relationship there over a period of time. So people will log in and get much more familiar with it as they would do, sort of an online banking. It becomes much harder in the kind of on the sales side, doesn't it, where it might be a vendor who, yes, they might log in and they might see what viewings have taken place, the feedback that's gone on, but it is only for a relatively short period of time whilst they are looking to sell or buy their home. Is OpenBrix's vision to try and make that a much more permanent relationship, so they genuinely, a person gets used to logging into OpenBrix and that's essentially the hub for them for all time, or is it still just a semi-transactional relationship?
No, look, first of all, we've made a decision right from when I got on board with OpenBrix, is that who do we service? Are we serving the vendor? Are we serving the end users? Are we serving the agents? And we've decided to serve the agents. That's who we work for. So it'll be up to the agents. If the agents want us to bring in something to share with their clients, absolutely, we will do that. We could do that in a heartbeat. Once we've got the platform built, which we have, adding in another form of ID, another entity, if you like, whether it be vendors or landlords, then absolutely that can be put in. It's a couple of days. So we've got some cool products for tenants at the moment, because tenants get a bit of a bum deal. Firstly, they get a sovereign ID, and people will say, "What's that?" Well, your passport is owned by the government, like your driving license is, so it's DVLC. But and rightly so, you could argue. But your digital ID, of course, isn't owned by the government, and it's not owned by you. It's owned by, whether you've got a BT email, it's BT. If it's Google, it's owned by Google. No one owns their digital ID. What we've done is we're allowing tenants to actually own their sovereign ID. So when they go through the right to rent process, we're saying to agents, get them to do it on OpenBrix, because A, it's free, but B, that means then you can do the pairing in an instant, because they then confirm back to you their right to rent verification. You've got their ID then. I mean, their OpenBrix ID, which is a non-hackable code, I should say. But the agents don't get that code. They get a 6-digit thing that gives them the access for the end user to share at a granular level what aspects of their ID they might want to share, whether it be that they actually do want to share their passport and their driving license and their utility bill, or it could be contract for employment, that can be shared, mortgage in principle for buyers, all sorts of things can be shared. But the point is that it's owned on the end user's own device. That's where it's owned, and we don't own it. We can't get access to it. So again, we like giving the end user that control. But what they also get, and this is key, is they'll get an automated, validated record of their rent payments, all on a very nice looking app, which is coming out in mid September. And those rental payments will be read and uploaded via our partner Credit Ladder, so that those rent payments now, for the first time in the UK, can go and influence and increase your credit history and your credit score. What a brilliant thing. The student are lapping this up. We've got build to rent landlords who are wanting to push this out to their whole tenant base. And why would you not, as an agent, why would you not want to incentivize your tenants to pay their rent on time? Most do, but there's a few that don't. And if anyone says, "Oh, I don't want my rent payments to influence my credit history," I would ask them.
There's a bit of a clue there, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, so clearly you're a lot more than just a traditional portal. That's very clear from the conversations we've had. So what other advantages then do you give to your end users?
Well, the fact is that to the end users being the consumer, a slicker platform, the agents can therefore offer them, the whole utility bill, utility setup, gas, electricity, telephone, water, council tax can be done in a heartbeat on our platform. The agents don't have to do it. The end user does it directly. So I think it's because it happens so quickly and slickly on the blockchain. I think it's a really good service. I mean, we've demoed it. It's built the way I've wanted it to be built. But of course, we've had this influence from agents. So the agents are telling us what they think their end users would like.
Yeah, and you spoke there about obviously a very heavyweight the board that you've got in place. Can you talk us through what sort of goals you've got, medium to long term? What do you want to achieve in what sort of timescale?
Well, ultimately, we're not investor shareholder led. OpenBrix, as we've alluded to, it is about giving the agents what they want and trying to monetize them in the best possible way by giving them the partnership program, so we can literally earn. They'll cover their subscription if one tenant in one property takes one product in 1 month. That will be paid. So we're trying to maximize the revenue streams and give them this pitching tool of the MLS. What do we want in the short term? I really do want the agents to understand that they don't have to trust me. It's their portal.
Yeah.
It's and as an agent, I mean, I get bored of reading which portals are coming along now. I'm bored of the word portal. Honestly, it bores me to death. And the thing is, every day in the trade press, there's another portal being launched, and good luck to them. And there are some really good new ones out there, to be fair. And we won a webinar with the main players. They're really good, and I like the fact that people are innovating and not just being a listing portal anymore. Those days are gone. And I'm sure.
It seems to have taken a while, doesn't it? But as you said, it's a bit like London buses there. For some time, it looked like it was a bit of a sort of bit moribund, if we're honest here. Yeah. And all of a sudden, all these companies have appeared out of nowhere. And what was fascinating on that portal was was the very different approaches that you guys were taking, weren't you?
Yeah, that's what's really nice is that we all genuinely get on. I mean, I will speak to one of those challenger portals at least once a week. We're all in touch with each other. We all get on well. We all realise that we've got a slight crossover, probably only on the portal aspect. But we're all doing different things. I mean, I have many chats with Sam from Home Search, lovely guy, we've gotten really well. Speak to Robert, speak to Mick. We're all in touch to Ben. And I like the fact that there are some who are coming in with innovation, but as I said, there's some new prop tech coming almost every single day, and it must be very confusing for the agent. So I've got no answer for that. But what I
have, it's a pink-based organisation, not too far from. It's almost over that way, isn't it? There you are. Yeah, you're quite right. I mean, ultimately, it's absolutely true, isn't it? The explosion of suppliers and prop tech in particular has led to very kind of an ostrich mode for many agents, where they've just put their head in the sand because they frankly haven't got the time, energy on top of running a successful business.
You know what? And I was loath to change when I had my business. I was saying I had it for 25 years, and I'd get one of my colleagues coming in and saying, "Oh, there's this new thing," and I go, "Really? I don't want to change. I'm too busy." So I really do get that, and I think there's a lot of really good products out there, but there's so many, and to bolt them all together is a bit of a nightmare. I'm not, they're all in the main, they're all good, but I must admit, I do feel sorry for agents. They're being bombarded by us as well. And some of the kickback we've had has been, on social media, you'll get someone, you get 20 people liking it, making positive comment, and you'll get one or two who say, "Oh, I've heard it all before." And I always say, "Yeah, you have. You know what? You absolutely are right. You have heard it all before." And I guess the proof will be in the pudding. If we want, you said, what do I want to do in the short term? I really want to get the agents to understand they can trust us. I'm here for them. If they want something changed, I will change it. I will change it. Within reason and cost allowing. But we want to have a product. We want to work with them. We work for them. We'll do what they want, and that's what happened with the MLS. It wasn't my idea. It was David Thomas and his band of agents came in and said, "Will you do it?" And I went, "Yeah, give me some time." I spoke to Shahad. He groaned. He said, "Another one is going to take over all my time." And I said, "Yeah, but could you do it?" And he went, "Oh, okay." So it went from there.
Great. And in terms of the other challenger portals, obviously the main ones out there, it's very difficult to have a USP these days. Do you, apart from the big B word, which we said we weren't mentioning, do you have any genuine USPs that you can stake a claim to?
Well, I guess the big one is probably the multi-listing service, because it's the first using the blockchain. It's the first in the world. In fact, we're the first B2C blockchain company outside of finance that offers a ledger in the world.
That's really interesting, because I did joke with you, obviously, and blockchain has been like buzzing around your ears for so many years now, and actually but to actually see it impacting in the way that you were doing, and obviously again in a space that was relevant. I think too often we see technology and things like blockchain come up with some batshit mental idea, but this was actually just going to the heart of a real issue, a real challenge, and just solving it like that. I mean, I'm not saying you haven't had to put loads and loads of work in, but that's kind of what blockchain was made for, almost, wasn't it?
It is. I mean, just a bit of history here, Simon.
I'm a huge fan of history.
So basically, I'm reliably informed that blockchain was sort of first acknowledged back about 500 AD on the Yap Islands, where the islands would come together as a main central island and trade, and each island had. This is a simplistic view of this, but this is basically what happened. Some specialized in fish, some specialized in arable, some specialized in animals and wheat and so on and so forth. And they agreed a trading price, that 2 fish would equal 1 bag of rice or whatever. But then it started to change, because then you get people in the Central Island sort of saying, "Oh, well, I'll let you have 3 bags of rice rather than 2 for the fish," and in the end, it caused uproar. So they said, right, we'll put everything on a centralized menu, which is a block, a big round tablet, huge. It's still there to this day. And every island got a little version of it with all the deals written on it. Now, everyone could take that away.
Yeah.
How do you hack that? Because you can go in overnight when no one's looking and go, chit, 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 and change it. But then you'd have to go around all the islands, find the stones, and do the same thing there. So that all that is the transparency. That's what all blockchain is. Simple.
I came off our talk the last time and went straight to, again, a bit like you had the conversation with TTO, and just said, can we do something with blockchain without actually even having the faintest idea? So he gave me that look. Great. So the cost model you were talking about before, obviously, was in terms of subscription. At the moment, at least, it's £75. Is that right? Yeah. And is it per branch? Is it per brand? Just talk us through the commercials.
It's £75 per branch.
Yep.
That's what we're basing it on. And then if you want to upgrade to the MLS, that's a further £55. We've had to think carefully about the pricing, because we know we can't ever really put the prices up.
Yeah.
So I've built in this £1 per upload, which we will bring in at some point. So again, I'm being transparent. I'm putting it out there. We won't be charging that initially. And I actually got a very nice email from Maurice Gilbride the other day querying that for me. And I'm glad he could query it, because I haven't made it clear. So just the avoidance of doubt, that £1 per upload will be free for the foreseeable future. We will, when we get agent numbers starting to build up, because hey, at the moment we're still free to list, free to interact with, and we're pushing the partnership and the MLS out in September. So again, we'll run that for a period of time free, but there's going to come a time when we're going to have to turn the charges on, and in the pudding, we might have people just say, do you know what, I'm out, and we run the risk.
And Adam, when do you have any idea when the charging model might actually, when it might come into play? Are you looking for a big launch? Is it what's going to be the driving factor for moving from one to the other?
Well, we have these new products being beta tested now, the MLS and the partnership programs. The app is being we've got the app already, but it was just a basic version. So we've got our all these new screens, hundreds of them coming mid-September, and at that point we'll probably then we'll probably launch then, but for a period of time it's going to be free. And do you know what? I'm trying to be open here. I don't know when we'll turn the charges on. I'd like to give it for free for as long as we can. No one expected COVID to come along.
Yeah.
We were planning on turning on the charges around June. Obviously, we couldn't do that. We are a startup. Yes, we're a heavyweight team, but we are a startup. We've self-funded to date. We can't last for too much longer, although we've got investment interest, but it wasn't the route we wanted to go down at this stage. We could do. So it's a balance now to make certain, can we get the numbers? Can we get agents saying, Joe, this is really good value. I'm making several thousand a month per branch. This MLS has got me instructions I wouldn't have. I can now go onto the MLS, tell one of my negs who's sitting there because he's only got 8 instructions, get on the MLS and start selling other people's property. If we can prove that product works, then I think agents won't have a problem paying it, because it is just a maintenance fee. That's what it is.
It's not, those aren't big figures, are they? I mean, obviously, ultimately, everything has to be proved by, ROI and everything else there. But we're not talking those ones that make you wince when you sign on the dotted line there, as long as they're there. So that's great. We've actually got Christian Byfield, a man who knows a little bit about agency and tech. Hello, Christian. The challenger portal market is exciting, if somewhat overwhelming at the moment, for agents as founders finally understand and listen to agents. The big battle now is winning the consumer. What will you guys be doing to win consumer eyeballs? So this comes back to that just basic premise and the huge challenge, of course, which is ultimately, look, the established portals. Many of them have had over a decade, many millions of pounds. People like Ian Wright, obviously, as by osmosis, their brands are synonymous with searching for property. Clearly, you can't turn that over overnight. Do you need to, or do you have a way of getting to those people in a different way?
Well, look, it is the question I'm asked the most, without question. I don't believe, unless you have millions, and I mean millions of investment, I think it's very difficult to dominate and take away Rightmove, Zoopla, and on the market's presence. It's just not going to happen overnight. However, we've got to remember that it was the agent community that made Rightmove the success that it is today. Can we do this overnight? No, we can. No, we can't. We definitely can't. And even if I had 30 odd million to chuck at a TV advert, I wouldn't do one with an awful naff tune with it, which is currently out there. I mean,
it really isn't a bomb. There's a few zombie movies. We were talking about what it was like going into London and feeling like in a zombie movie. That advert literally makes you bang your head against the wall like one, doesn't it?
It's not great, but hey, who am I? I'm not a king of marketing. So look, we've got a social media plan. It's substantial. It's a big aspect of our monthly burn. We want to increase that, but we know we're not going to do it overnight. So how are we going to do it? Well, that's why we've got these immediate tenant benefits, because when you look at tenants, today's tenants are either going to be tomorrow's tenants or tomorrow's buyers. People have to live somewhere. Yeah. So we can populate and start populating our back end, if you like, with tenants who are actively interacting with their rental payments and their credit history every single month. Yeah. And we're giving this, and we're rolling this out to student bodies, to build-to-rent landlords, to agents in the UK who want to create some stickiness with our tenants by saying, look, us as an agent, we can offer you this product, have your rent automatically read, so you've got it as proof on immutable proof on your own device. Plus, we can upload it to the credit reference agencies. We start getting every agent who joins OpenBrix to start putting their 200, 250 managed properties onto the back end of OpenBrix. And by the way, guys, you do that for free. You'll never be charged that. So when you upload your managed properties, that is free. We don't get access to it. Remember, it's your data. And I believe then when we start creating what will potentially be one of the biggest, if not the biggest database of active tenants in the UK, that's where we're going to get the strength from the portal and the eyeballs.
Yeah, that's really
we try our partners who are joining the partnership scheme are super excited because one of them, and I won't say who, he reckons that they will be doubling, if not trebling, their sales because
and just to be clear, this is partner agents, yeah. The partner.
No, these are the like the tenant offerings, the partner, the utilities, the financial, all of those. Those companies reckon that they will double or not treble because they don't have to rely on the agent. Some agents are really good, but then that agent might be on holiday or might be out doing evaluation or viewing. It doesn't always get done the best way. The partners, every single one of them are telling us, oh, this is great because we get to do it direct. And of course, we're opening up to the managed portfolios, which is an untapped area of tenant offering commissions. So, I'm hoping the partners therefore sell to the agents, and the agents sell to the end consumer. And in the meanwhile, we work for the agent. So we're giving all the control of the whole thing of OpenBrix. The whole control goes to the agents.
The onus has to be really here, doesn't it? Is what do you have to lose by coming to you at the moment anyway? Trying out this amazing new technology and everything, and just feeling where it's going to go. And obviously, I think everyone should have a good look at that. And obviously, this also sounds great, Adam. In terms of how do agents find out? Clearly, they can go on your Kerfuffle page, the landing page there, express an interest. They can obviously go on your website there. And I think on there, we were just talking about kind of partners as well. You've got a relationship with pretty much all of the CRMs by the looks of it, doesn't it, from your upload?
Yeah, we do. And I have to say, they've been really helpful. You've got Property Hive, someone's like Acquaint and 1090, been really super helpful. Those three have probably get the equal gold medal for being helpful and quick. But we've got all of Repit's been fantastic. Obviously, we had several meetings with Gary Barker, who was very helpful. Obviously, now he's moved on. And by the way,
he might be competing with you if we were.
I actually had a very, very nice meeting with Michael Bruce the other day, who reached out to me and said, would you like to have a chat and have lunch? And we did, social distance in the pub, actually down the road from me in the pub garden. But we had an interesting chat. I wouldn't give him my secret sauce, and there's no way he would tell me what he was doing. But no, it was very nice. And look, as far as booming, they are doing something. Anything that chips away at Rightmove, I think is probably a good thing. I think it's going to create a more open market, and it's a little bit like the Allies in the Second World War. We banded together, and then Stalin even helped out. At the end of the day, it's not the best analogy. But you know what I mean? We are united, and Michael and I agreed. So look, good luck to him. He's a very bright guy. He's going to come to the market with something different. It won't just be a listing portal. That I can guarantee you. And he hasn't told me that. Yeah. We all know it won't be that. We all know we've got to do a lot more. And actually, I think the one thing that's come out of this Say No to Rightmove group, groups, and that's obviously Rob, Murray, David and Paul, who've been, I think, done an amazing service to the estate agency. Because if nothing else, they've got the prices down. They created the portal war. And they've saved agents. Every agent who's on those portals has saved money thanks to those four guys. So big hand to them. But you look at how agents are now collaborating together, and they've got a bit of muscle now. And the control of the data and the market needs to go back to the agent. And we need to take it away from these centralized entities. So there we go.
Yeah,
behind.
I was going to do. We're going to do the old testify thing there. That was just one thing just before we leave it. I'm interested in that voting element there. Does the voting work per company brand, or does that come back to one per office? How does that work?
Trust you to bring up a very contentious issue.
Hey, take that, Christopher Watkins. Simon Wales still got it.
So here's a perfect example of how the agents have made a decision.
Yeah.
So we initially thought, well, it's got to be per branch.
Yeah.
And I can see both sides of this. It's got to be per branch. However, that's not what our agent community said. They said, well, that's really unfair. If an agent comes along and they've got 200 branches, that means they've automatically got control of the platform, which actually is true. If they joined us on day one, they could collapse it and take it over. They could fire us, collapse the platform.
And of course, famously, one branch is not comparable to another branch. You can have some really heavy hitting super branches compared to, a branch with a couple of people in doing light numbers. So
what we've done is, at the request of our agent community, so I can hide behind them, we've done it whilst every branch has access to the partnerships and they have all the earning potential. When it comes to voting, it's one brand per vote.
I guess that really is equitable then, isn't it? Okay, that's really interesting.
Which of course, if you're an agent with 30 or 40 branches, you would expect to have, well, hang on, why do I only have one vote when I'm bringing 40 branches to OpenBrix when matey next door has only got one branch and he gets the same vote as I do? Well, and I haven't got an answer to that other than, look, it's a democratized platform. This is what the agent community have decided. And I guess if you add in the percentage of independent agents out there, they still take up the largest body. So
I'll tell you the most equitable one you could possibly do. You've already got it in your model going forwards. It would be a vote per listing, wouldn't it? Realistically, that is the truly equitable position on all of this, because if you're putting it in there, that's based on activity and everything else.
But again, even that could be abused, because you perhaps have maybe a big online brand who might have more
open rent or someone like that, couldn't they? Can throw in, And
again, but at the end of the day, these decisions are down for community. We'll do what they want.
Well, I've sat on some interesting boards in my time, but I must say I do like the idea of this really throwing it up in the air in terms of really making it and delivering on the belief. It's absolutely to be commended. Well, look, absolutely great. Obviously, I advise anybody to get in contact with you, Tango Pig on Facebook or on your website. That's it. And please have a look. And obviously, please stay in touch with us, Adam. Give us those updates. We'd be fascinated to see how that, how the MLS in particular obviously develops. But
we're excited about that.
Yeah, great. Well, we want to know what's going on there. So thank you very much for joining us once again on here, Adam, and good luck and best of luck with it.
Thank you, and thanks, guys, for the support and the opportunity. Really appreciate it out there, and we're very grateful to be on the podcast.
No worries at all. Great talking to you.